Chapter 1 of Essays and Literary Studies. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Essays and Literary Studies by Stephen Leacock. The Apology of a Professor. An Essay on Modern Learning. I know no more interesting subject of speculation, nor any more calculated to allow of a fair-minded difference of opinion, than the enquiry whether a professor has any right to exist. Prima facie, of course, the case is heavily against him. His angular overcoat, his missing buttons, and his faded hat will not bear comparison with the double-breasted splendor of the stockbroker, nor the directoire fur gown of the cigar-maker. Nor does a native agility of body compensate for the missing allurement of dress. He cannot skate. He does not shoot. He must not swear. He is not brave. His mind, too, to the outsider at any rate, appears defective and seriously damaged by education. He cannot appreciate a 25-cent novel, or a melodrama, or a moving picture show, or any of that broad current of intellectual movement which soothes the brain of the business man in its moments of inactivity. His conversation, even to the tolerant, is impossible. Apparently he has neither ideas nor enthusiasms, nothing but an elaborate catalogue of dead man's opinions, which he cites with a petulant and peevish authority that will not brook contradiction, and that must be soothed by a tolerating acquiescence or flattered by a plenary acknowledgment of ignorance. Yet the very heaviness of this initial indictment against the professor might well suggest to an impartial critic that there must at least be mitigating circumstances in the case. Even if we are to admit that the indictment is well founded, the reason is all the greater for examining the basis on which it rests. At any rate, some explanation of the facts involved may perhaps serve to palliate, if not to remove, demerits which are rather to be deplored than censured. It is one of the standing defects of our age that social classes, or let us say more narrowly, social categories, know so little of one another. For the purposes of ready reckoning, of that handy transaction of business which is the passion of the hour, we have adopted a way of labeling one another with the tag mark of a profession or an occupation that becomes an aid to business but a barrier to intercourse. This man is a professor, that man an insurance man, a third, terque quaterque beatus, a liquor man. With these are railroad men, newspaper men, dry goods men, and so forth. The things that we handle for our livelihood impose themselves upon our personality until the very word man drops out, and a gentleman is referred to as a heavy pulp and paper interest, while another man is a prominent rubber plant, 2 or 3 men around a dinner table become an iron and steel circle, and thus it is that for the simple conception of a human being is substituted a complex of interests, rings, circles, sets, and other semi-geometrical figures arising out of avocations rather than affinities. Hence it becomes that insurance men mingle with insurance men, liquor men mix, if one may use the term without afterthought, with liquor men. What looks like a lunch between 3 men at a club is really a cigar having lunch with a couple of plugs of tobacco. Now the professor more than any ordinary person finds himself shut out from the general society of the business world. The rest of the interests have, after all, some things in common. The circles intersect at various points. Iron and steel has a certain fellowship with pulp and paper, and the whole lot of them may be converted into the common ground of preference shares and common stock. But the professor is to all of them an outsider. Hence his natural dissimilarity is unduly heightened in its appearance by the sort of avocational isolation in which he lives. Let us look further into the status and the setting of the man. To begin with, history has been hard upon him. For some reason, the strenuous men of activity and success in the drama of life have felt an instinctive scorn of the academic class, which they have been at no pains to conceal. Bismarck knew of no more bitter taunt to throw at the free trade economists of
Sample complete. Ready to continue?